My unpopular opinion is that cutoff culture is actually pretty toxic. It seems to become this big trend and almost like a personality trait to cut off people for really, really little things. People love to say that their cutoff game is strong. Any sign of a red flag, they're cutting someone off. And I would argue that it's not coming from an empowered place of having boundaries, but it's really just coming from avoidance and lack of vulnerability. Hear me out, hear me out. I'm gonna explain. I just really feel like when you're chronically just cutting people off for little small things, it's less about protecting your peace and more about avoiding discomfort. For example, if you have a friend that is really slow to text back, or they always cancel plans last minute, maybe they make jokes you don't like, something that bothers you but is not necessarily problematic or something that's the end of the world. We're not allowing ourselves to work through those things and have grace and confront the problem head on. Why are we just cutting off a friend for certain little quirks that they have that might not be super compatible with you? If they're a great friend in all of these other ways, there are ways to salvage the relationship. We don't have to cut everyone off. I think it really comes down to we've really lost the art of just having grace for people. Like giving people grace. What happened to that? Giving people the benefit of the doubt. Having healthy conflict resolution. Ever heard of it? I firmly believe that people don't always know what they're doing. I hear a lot of people say
Oh, I cut them off without saying anything. They know what they did. They know what they did.
Sometimes people genuinely don't. Sometimes people really don't know what they did wrong. We are not mind readers. And I think it's important that you communicate to that person like, hey, I don't like when you do this. I don't like when you take 3 days to text me back. It feels like I'm not a priority. I don't like when you make certain jokes. It makes me feel insecure. Whatever it is, if you communicate that, there is a chance that the person will be like, oh, wow, I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. I won't behave in that way around you. And voila, the case is closed. It's very easy to get over things like that if you just communicate. We don't have to cut everyone off for every little thing. I just don't always think it's the healthiest way to go about relationships to not give people a chance and not try to talk through what's going on. Like I said, a lot of times people are really caught up in their own lives. They're not thinking about how their small little actions will affect you. They're not aware of all your little boundaries and triggers. And if you're in a relationship with someone, whether platonic or romantic, it's your job to communicate what those boundaries are. Boundary is not just cutting them out of your life. A boundary has to be communicated first. And I understand why people do it, right? We are also in this ghosting culture, especially when it comes to dating. It's hard to have really uncomfortable conversations. We don't want to have them, but they are necessary. It's a skill that's very important. Not every relationship is going to be peachy keen. We cannot control others. We're not going to always have someone in our lives that behaves the exact way we want to behave, treats us the exact way we want to be treated. But it's our responsibility to let them know how that is, give them the manuscript, give them the instructions. And then if they don't follow it, that's when we can have a different conversation, right? From my own personal experience, it happened to me, right? I had to learn this the hard way. I was someone who was very much like that. I'm a Scorpio, and if you do me wrong, I am done with you. I don't want to hear you out. I just get you out of my life like you weren't there, and I'll never talk to you again. It's very extreme. And I have done this in the past where I feel like I had cut off a lot of dating experiences super early on and almost premature. I've cut off a lot of friends without properly communicating what the issue actually was, how they hurt me, and I just expected them to know. I expected them to know that I felt unappreciated. I expected them to know that they were crossing my boundaries, but I never once communicated to them that anything was wrong. I just decided one day that I was done, but I wasn't willing to have the hard conversation. I wasn't willing to let them know. And I, most importantly, was not willing to give them a chance to correct it, to apologize. Nothing. And when I really realized that that was unfair of me is when it happened to me. Yep, it happened to me. What goes around comes around. And it came around. I was cut off very viciously by someone I thought was my best friend, and it hurt like hell. I went through so much misery. I was so confused. I did not know what I did wrong. The relationship was perfect in my head. I thought we were the bestest friends. I thought we had like the most amazing friendship in the entire world. I had no idea what I did to deserve getting cut off. And I, more than anything, wish that that person would talk to me and just tell me what it was. I went through years of just not understanding what had happened to our friendship. Till this day, I still don't know. I've just had to accept it. But that's when I realized that I had done that to other people, and it was so unfair of me. And I made a vow ever since then to not do it again. I need to have conversations with people. It's going to be hard, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's important for me to be vulnerable and let them know, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Even if it's so silly, right? Like I brought up the example of maybe, having a friend who doesn't text back for like a week or a few days, and maybe that's something that makes you feel insecure. You might feel very petty and vulnerable voicing that to your friend, but if they're your real friend, they're going to hear you out and be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm just not a texter, or like maybe I'll do better at texting you. Give them the grace and time to prove themselves and show you that they can show up for you and be the friend that you want them to be. If you can't, then that is, we can cut people off later down the road, right? But I'm just saying, for these little things where it really is most of the time a miscommunication, I really think it's important to just have those conversations. Don't just leave people hanging, especially if they're a really important part of your life. I do want to put this disclaimer in the video that I'm not equating like having an uncomfortable situation with like a dangerous conversation, right? This video is all about like very healthy, good, normal people and dynamics, just having a friend who, again, is not doing anything problematic or harmful. I'm not saying that we should try to fix things with people who are like really just unsafe and unkind and put our life at risk and at danger. You know what I mean? If someone is truly harmful to you, of course, we need to cut them off and get them as far away from us as possible. But I'm just saying, when it comes to some of those kind of little kind of disagreements or little quirks that people have, and just maybe things that you don't really like about a person, I think there are times, most of the time, I would argue probably 80-90% of the time, where we can talk through and improve things without just cutting people off. Again, like I said, cutting people off for no reason, for a very small reason. Okay, just wanted to put that disclaimer, because if you're unsafe, yeah, cut them off, please. But yeah, this whole video really is about learning that communication skills are so vital and necessary in life. I've learned this over the years. The more I was able to communicate and be vulnerable, I was able to honestly strengthen a lot of my friendships and relationships. When I have dating experiences, I get treated the way I want to be treated because I let it be known with my friends. They know what my triggers are. They know what I expect out of friendship, and vice versa. I know how to treat certain friends and how they want to be treated, and we have a very honest dialogue about that. If I ever make a joke to a friend and they're able to say, Lisa, nope, I don't like that. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. And my friendships have gotten a lot stronger because of it, because we are honest, open, and vulnerable. And any real friend, any person that's supposed to be in your life, is going to take your concerns seriously and do everything in their power to not only clear up the misunderstanding, but do better in the future so that you feel comfortable and have a really good relationship and dynamic with them. So all this to say, let's try to make cutting someone off the very last option, okay? Let's not be in this society where we just like cut everyone off. Sometimes you're cutting off really good people out of your life for very, very, very petty reasons. Try to be more open to having the uncomfortable conversations, seeing if it's a relationship that you can improve on before just deciding that people are disposable. Because not only will it hurt you, it hurts a lot of other people in the process, when a lot of this can be avoided just by having simple conversations. Again, they're not easy conversations, but they are simple. All right, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think I'm completely off base here? Even with my disclaimer, I know there are some people that do need to be cut off. I completely acknowledge that. But I think a lot of times, we need to give people more grace and just be open to having healthy conflict. And a lot of times things can be cleared up pretty easily. All right, love you guys. See you next video. Bye.